Hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to let this video just play like it is. My camera turned on as I was carrying all my equipment outside, and I didn't even know that it was rolling. But it's kind of a nice little introduction, just walking out the door here, and then I realized that my camera was on, and I filmed this whole thing in one take, and never turned the camera off, and then when I went to turn it off, it wouldn't shut off, and I had to do some weird stuff with the iPhone to get it to turn off. So anyways, here we are outside, and today is the day. I'm going to get those pallets cleared off and get my wood chips spread out and finally get the ground covered and get all the pallets out of the mud and just get it done. So here we go. This is just kind of a little video blog of me finishing up, putting the finishing touches here on my wood chips. I hope you enjoy it. Not much to it. I will say that the wood chips have already increased the moisture in the soil. They've improved the soil quality. As I was raking around a little bit, I hit the ground in some places, and it's nice and moist and just looks so much fertile, so much more fertile. If I could talk today. It looks so much more fertile already, just having moisture trapped down there and everything. And I wanted to add another clip to this video, which I don't have. I'll probably do a short on it. So if you want to see more about wood chips, subscribe to the channel. And when I get this other clip filmed, I'll show you. But I have an area of wood chips that has been sitting for about a year. And I mean, the soil is incredible. I mean, you dig down under the wood chips a few inches and it just turns into just fertile, rich, I don't know if loamy is the word, but I mean, it's just brown, really nice, supple dirt. It's got to be very healthy for plants and improving your soil as a soil amendment or anything. And I want to show that. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see it. Let me know. Whenever I get around to getting back to that area, I'll film that and do a short on it. But I mean, the soil is incredible. That stuff breaks down into the most rich, composted soil. It just looks incredible for anybody who's gardening or has flower beds or anything, just improving your soil. So enough said, really. I might chime in another time or two here, but it's basically pretty straightforward. I'm just going to clear all this stuff off and rake down all these wood chips and everything. Oh, and I do want to mention that if you watch my other video, when I was raking these chips a month or so ago, I put them down, and I've never really used tree service wood chips like this before, but I put them all down in piles, and I was planning on coming back within a week or so and just spreading them all. So I mean, I got them down because they dumped like 10 yards of material in my driveway. So I just took wheelbarrow loads and dumped them in piles all spread around, you know, everywhere. And then those piles needed to be spread. Well, I let them sit there over the weekend. I had to work and everything. And when I came back the next week, they had already started breaking down, and you can see all of I started raking them, and it's just like smoke is coming out of them. And that's all some type of spores that would break down wood or wood chips. I mean, it kind of just releases all into the air. I mean, it didn't hurt me at all. I wouldn't want to breathe a ton of it, but it doesn't hurt me. It's not harmful to humans, really. But I don't want it to get all over my firewood either and start producing any type of fungus or anything on my firewood. So anyways, it's been sitting out here now for a month or two. And I just wanted to note, if anybody's watching and runs into that problem, that stuff pretty much goes away. Now, there's still some, but nothing to the degree that it was. I mean, when I was raking it before, the wind was just catching it and blowing it like smoke. This time, when you dig down in underneath, the chips are a different color. I mean, they're kind of white, and you can tell that they're breaking down. But I don't get that really smoky, powdery spore release, so it dies down relatively quickly within a matter of weeks of sitting. So I didn't know that. I didn't know it was going to do that right away, and it may be something particular to the chips that I got. A lot of the chips are from a hackberry tree. Some of them are from cherry. So there may have been something in that hackberry that is prone to doing that, because some of the chips, and I think it's the cherry, don't really have the same look to them. Not nearly as bad anyways. But it just depends on what kind of wood chips you get and what's in that tree and everything. But that stuff dies down really quick. It breaks down and kind of goes away and everything dries out, so we're looking good there. It's just kind of a little bit of a puzzle here. There's only one area underneath those 3 pallets that I haven't spread the wood chips. To the right of the screen, where all that barkless cherry is all stacked up, that's all covered with wood chips already. That's already been spread out. So I just kind of got to shuffle everything around and move everything off the pallets and move the pallets over and restack stuff to clear out that area so I can then rake the chips down. And another thing that's worth noting if you're into wood chips is just how much they really kind of compact and reduce as they dry and sit. Some of those piles, I dumped 2 or 3 wheelbarrow loads, in a big pile on top of each other. And after only a month or so, all the moisture that has gotten out of them, and as they settle and compact down and everything, they really reduce a pretty good amount. And it wasn't as much there to rake as I thought it was. I had just about a perfect amount to finish the job, and I'm glad I did it the way I did. But some of those you can't even see. Over to the right of the screen, off the screen, I put it on really thick. I dumped, like I said, 2 or 3 wheelbarrow loads in big piles all over the place, and I left it kind of mounded up over there just because I knew I would need some extra chips to kind of spread around, and I could use those as a reserve to go just pick up and throw in places that were thin or whatever. Well, coming back now after a month or whatever, month and a half, those large piles are not as big as I thought they were. Everything's kind of reduced and compacted and wants to kind of stick together. So the tops of the piles that are all mounded up in peaks, you can grab those and move it, but once you get down underneath the peaks, it's really just kind of compacted and doesn't want to move much more. So you can put it on really thick, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a nice, real thick layer. If I could get 4 or 6 inches minimum, that's fine with me. The only thing to consider is that I got to roll my wheelbarrow on that to stack my firewood at the top of the hill there, and the wheelbarrow doesn't roll through the thick stuff very good. But I'm already thinking that I'm going to want another load of these chips. I don't know when I'll get around to it. It might not be till next year, but I'd like to mulch underneath all of my arborvitaes down the side of my yard, and I think I could go even thicker back there in this area that I'm working now, especially this area that I'm spreading today on. It's only 3 inches thick maybe or so. I'd like 4 to 6 inches. So I'm already wanting another load of wood chips, and it'll probably happen eventually. Those pallets had quite a bit of mud stuck to the bottom of them, so hopefully these wood chips will help save my pallets some, get them out of the mud. They're still going to be kind of on the ground, but the wood chips might help to where it's just not wet mud soaking in, and I can save my pallets for a little bit longer. Some of the pallets that are under that wood that you see stacked up back there are the worst pallets I've ever seen in my life. They're the lowest quality pallets you can get. It's like the horizontal slats where you'd set the wood is made with cedar cutoffs from a sawmill, and they're not even square. They're just totally oblong, rounded cedar pieces with the bark still on them, just like planks of just the most junk wood. I broke some of them just standing on it. When you put them down and walk on it to stack your firewood and stuff, you have to kind of stand on them sometimes. I broke some of them standing on it. And then the first night I put a bunch of oak on one, which weighs a lot. I mean, literally weighs a ton probably. I woke up in the morning and it had fallen over, and I'm pretty sure what happened is the pallet broke and the pile shifted and it fell. So it's not a big deal. I won't see those pallets again till sometime next year most likely. And whenever I get around to digging all that oak out of there and burning it or selling it, I'll see what's going on with those pallets again. But by that time they will probably be trash. And that's not a big deal. I have a pretty good source of pallets, so I can always get more pallets, but those cedar ones are bad, and they will probably be thrown away. They'll probably be pretty rotten by the time I get to them again. They're also sitting in the mud because I didn't have my wood chips in time to get the wood chips down. And that's one of the things that I kept saying is I wanted to get my wood chips before I started stacking wood, so I didn't have to come back and unstack all my wood and rearrange. Well, it didn't really work out that way. So some of the wood that's on the screen there is sitting in the mud, and everything off the screen to the right, all those pallets are also in the mud. But they're bad pallets, like I said. So everything didn't work out completely perfect, hunky-dory the way I would have liked it to or loved it to. But it's in the end, it's all good. I mean, there's firewood sitting on top of all that stuff, so there's not going to be weeds growing. It's dark under there, under the ground. The pallets are junk anyways. So whenever I get that stuff unstacked, I can always get more wood chips and fix it next year. Now, as I'm raking, you can see the difference in the color of the wood chips from what's underneath and what the sun is hitting and bleaching out and keeping dry. All those spores like the dark, wet undergrowth of that wood chips. But I'm also not getting the smoky, powdery release that I was in my previous video. I mean, it's still kind of white and discolored, and I think they're kind of in there a little bit. But they're not just freely floating off into the breeze like smoke or anything. So that's much better, and I'm happy about that because that stuff will go all over your firewood and everything. And I don't think that's the best thing to happen because I did go out and just kind of I clean off my wood after that to make sure it wasn't a problem. The wood is doing great, by the way. None of the fungus or anything is growing at all anymore. So everything's fine there. But I certainly wouldn't want to be out there disturbing that all the time, getting that powdery stuff all over everything. This little clump right here was kind of weird. I thought it was a dead animal or something for a minute in there. But it was just, everything was just kind of stuck together in a weird little like jelly-like blob. It was dry, but anyways, I just threw it over to where it'll be on the very bottom of the pile and covered it up. All of those smaller logs that I put in the wheelbarrow and that little stack of logs to the left side of the screen, those are all smaller stuff, and that'll probably be one of my next videos. Is I'll use the Harbor Freight log splitter, the electric 5-ton, and split all that little stuff because it's small. It's easy. I can split it with an axe, but it's easier. You can be more accurate with the log splitter and just split them right in half. And also, the ends on them don't all have perfect square cuts on the ends, so they won't stand up straight. But yeah, a lot of that is that kind of stuff. It's curved, or it won't stand up straight, or it's real small. It's perfect for that little 5-ton electric log splitter. So I have... that'll be coming up. I have that whole load of the wheelbarrow, and then off to the right of the screen there's some birch that's also real small rounds. I'll probably add that birch in there too and just do a big load of small stuff and odds and ends, weird shaped stuff that won't stand up straight. Also, that cedar branch on the left side of the screen that's right over that little pile of stuff on the pallet, I'm thinking about trimming that back or pruning that off. I was looking at it about 5 minutes ago in the video when I was over there. It's just really annoying. It's getting in my face when I'm mowing there. Every time I'm up and down that hill, it's hitting me in the shoulder and neck. And those cedar trees drop needles and all kinds of stuff. They could have spiders or ticks in them or whatever, and you go through it and all these little needles drop down your shirt and get all in your shirt, down your back and everything. It's really annoying. So I think I'm going to trim that. Let me know what you think I should do. Should I trim it? I've been leaving it though because I think it kind of provides some privacy when I'm back there, and my arborvitae tree row kind of ends at the where the grass ends, and then that cedar tree comes in, but that little branch kind of provides a little bit of privacy through there, so that's why I was leaving it, because it's nice and thick. But as my firewood pile grows and progresses towards that direction to the left there, it's going to be in the shade, and those branches might need to come off for the firewood, and it is really annoying, hitting me in the face and everything. When I have a riding lawnmower too, and if you drive the riding lawnmower through it, it just goes all over everywhere. It's just kind of annoying. So I think I'm going to end up pruning that off. Obviously you can tell it seems like it's a smart thing to do, but I will miss the privacy. So now I'll kind of be on the screen and off the screen. I'm just going to let it roll, I think. This is just one long clip. Like I said, I didn't even mean to turn the camera on. I turned on itself on accident and ran for 33 minutes here. But I move over to the right of the screen and I grab the tops off of all those piles that I had mounded up. And like I said, it's not as much as I thought it was, but I just get enough to cover that last area. And that's just going to be good enough for this year. I'm happy to have my yard mulched. And at any moment I could get more wood chips. I could call any day and have them bring some more. I'm not in a huge rush to do that because I just put these down, and it's a lot of work moving 10 or 12 yards of wood chips. Those are large chipper trucks, and it took 5 hours of wheelbarrowing. Is that a word? Wheelbarrowing? It took 5 hours of wheelbarrowing to move all those chips out of my driveway, and you have to get it done because you can't move your cars. And then as I learned, which is a valuable lesson, if you let those things sit for more than a few days, they start getting all those spores developing, and the middle of the pile gets hot and it's smoking, and I've even read that it could become a fire hazard because it's like composting in there, and if it gets really hot and sunny and dry, they could potentially spontaneously combust. Now, I'm not worried about that. I'm just mentioning it, but you can feel the heat coming out of those piles. So if you were to dump it in your driveway and just be like, oh, I'll get it next week, well, be prepared that that's going to be at like the peak of when all those spores could be flaring up. So I would recommend to anybody and myself in the future, you want to get them down as quick as possible. If a chipper truck drops off 10 or 12 or 15 yards of wood chips, you need to move them and spread them and get them spread immediately, because they're fresh, obviously, and they're like perfectly good, fresh, chipped up wood when you get them. But the middle of that pile will start breaking down within 48 hours or so. They're going to start developing all those fungal spores and molds and whatever it is in there. So you need to get them down and get them where they need to be, and let the rain and the sun and everything work on. I mean, the rain will help to push everything down and pound it down into the ground, and the sun dries out the top layer and keeps that stuff dry and exposed to light. So you need to just get them down and don't mess with them. That's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from this, and in the future, that's what I will do, because I mean, I know you don't want to get out there and keep disturbing them if it's going to be releasing all those fungal spores. So don't do what I did and get them down and get them situated immediately. Like, it's a lot of work. Like I said, it took me 5 hours to move those chips and get them just in piles stationed around the yard, ready to spread. But then you need to get out there within the next day or so, immediately, as quick as possible, and get those piles spread. I mean, if you just take them all and dump them and be like, okay, I'm done for the day, I got to work like I did, and come back next week and do it, that's when that stuff's going to be like peak flare up. So take that into consideration. And also, like I said, it may have something to do with the type of chips that I had, but I mean, that's what I learned from my experience, and that is a possibility of what could happen. So I would certainly consider that, and if you were going to put wood chips down. So I'm kind of trying to be gentle, kind of trying to keep things low, not disturb it a lot. I mean, I grab handfuls and I kind of gently just walk them over and put them on the ground as gently as you can, really. I don't really want to rake everything up all crazy and get everything all stirred up and crazy. And that's why I kind of stopped where I did too. And I left those piles where I put it on really thick. It's probably thick in some spots. Certainly it's thicker in some spots than others. But I just kind of decided that it's not overly thick. I mean, by the time it all compacts down and reduces and dries and shrinks up a little bit, it doesn't look bad, and I want it thick anyways. And also, I don't want to disturb everything. So this last little area, I just got it covered. I got a nice 3-inch, 4-inch layer to where everything's covered and it looks uniform at least. But the other areas that are probably a lot thicker, I just left alone. I don't want to be in there raking it all up and disturbing it all and churning up everything. So, like I said, I can always get more wood chips, and I'd probably rather just get another load of wood chips and make it even thicker in those areas that are thin, that need it. Just put more on, then sit there and continue to churn that up and try to make everything completely uniform. So that's kind of my game plan, is I'm just going to leave it alone right now. I just got these spread, and as soon as I have the energy and get the itch to get more, I can call them and get another load, and I can do underneath all my trees and make that a little bit thicker. Obviously you can see that I just went and got a snow shovel because handfuls seemed like it was just kind of going to take a long time. So I used the shovel to get some larger loads but I only used it a few times before I kind of decided that it was enough. Like I said, I don't want to keep messing with it, and I just wanted to put, fill in the thin areas that are thin, and put enough down just to cover it up and prevent weed growth and trap some moisture in, and that's going to be good enough for now. So that's pretty much it, guys. I got all those chips spread out and all the pallets moved and everything. I stood those up to where the rain will hopefully clean the bottom of them off. I don't know if it will or not, but now I'm just going to take a minute and clean up my wood splitting area. That is all trash from using my wood maul and axe and splitting wood, so you still end up with some debris, obviously. And I just kind of sacrificed this area in my backyard. It just had to be done. The wood has to be split somewhere. I hate splitting wood on the concrete, on pavement or concrete or a patio. It's just terrible. I mean, your axe goes through and hits the concrete. There's no way around it. I hate doing it. I don't even really like gravel. Seems like it's just going to nick your axe up and everything. So I moved out here into the yard where I'm away from windows and on a dirt surface and all that, and you can see what it did to my yard. But ultimately, this is a pretty big hobby of mine. I need a space to do it, and that's just 2 or 3 handfuls of grass seed, and that little circle will be completely filled in. So whenever I get done splitting wood, or whenever I want to heal that area, that's all I have to do is put a few handfuls of grass seed down. Now, I don't know when that will happen. I'm going to be splitting wood all through the winter and probably into next year, and that's probably where I'm going to go. I mean, that's where I'm going to be splitting it. So I don't know when I will ever get around to fixing that area, but if I ever sell my house or anything, I'll just have to throw out, it's like 3 handfuls of grass seed, and it'll be sprouting up within a week. Unless I decide to do something else with it. I mean, if I wanted to make that into a little island and put wood chips down or something, I could. But probably I'll just leave it like it is and one day just put some grass seed down. So thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by, and I appreciate all the subscribers. If you're here to learn about wood chips, or you're thinking about putting wood chips down in your own garden or house, or put a path down, or you have chickens or whatever, hopefully you maybe learned a little bit, and I can help you with some of the problems that I went through and concerns that I had. This is about it, and I hope you have a great day. See you later.